Judy Baar Topinka was born on January 16, 1944, in Chicago, Illinois, and grew up in the small town of Riverside just outside of Chicago, the place she called home. Known for her sharp wit and strong personality, Judy was the first woman to be Treasurer of Illinois, holding the position for an unprecedented 3 terms.
It's time to fix this state because I am not going away until we do. So that should scare you, okay?
It's really kind of funny. At one point I asked if I could be a township trustee in Riverside. And the boys that were there said, well, we really don't want you because you're too young and you're female. But we were the smallest part of that district, and I was just told to go home and bake cakes. It's always like, you'd be good, but we really don't want you. So anyway, when that came up, I ran for it, and they, of course, said it could never happen, and I lived in the wrong place, and the organizations didn't want me, the Republican organizations didn't want me, and so it was, and I beat everybody, and I somehow won.
Judy is one of the most charismatic people I've ever met. When she came into a room, she commanded everybody's attention, and in a good way. She was kind, she was charming, she was self-effacing, she was interesting, she was insightful, and if you were lucky enough to get her attention, because she was always around a lot of people, she would focus on you and you knew that she cared. A wonderful group of characteristics in a person.
As a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and especially because my mother was so avant-garde in terms of doing all these wonderful things just by example in terms of what women were doing.
Her mother was a professional in the real estate business. She was a professional long before it was fashionable or common for women to be businesswomen. And Judy learned from her mother never to take a second seat just because she was a woman.
And my father, always very, very supportive. When it really got down to it, my father said, well, I won't put you through school to be a veterinarian. That's a man's job. You're not going to be throwing around some cow, for heaven's sakes.
Judy graduated from the prestigious Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern University, becoming the first in her family to earn a college diploma. After graduating, she put her skills to the test by working at several suburban newspapers in the Chicagoland area. There, she learned about the local government and issues facing the people.
So I thought, well, next runner-up, I really like writing. I write reasonably well. And the whole idea of reporting was of interest to me, especially going after corruption. You also learned how to ask who, what, when, where, why, and how, which really helped in terms of serving in the legislature, the House and the Senate. And, I just became kind of a little old bulldog. Nice bulldog, but bulldog nonetheless.
It was never common for me to be able to compare her with other mothers when I was at school. It was just a different stories at home than I seem to have heard or recall hearing from other students. When we compared, thoughts from the home. I always felt that I had a different type of mother, and I wasn't always sure if that was good, bad, or indifferent. But I loved her all the same.
I had wonderful parents, wonderful grandparents, a wonderful son, a great family. We were crazy and dysfunctional as you could possibly have anybody. And it all came together and just made for a wonderful mix. I wouldn't trade a stitch of my life.
Well, thank you very, very much. To all of you, I kind of feel like that Arnold Schwarzenegger character who said, "I'll be back."
She was a newspaper writer, and she decided she was following politics, and she decided she could do better. So she ran for the Illinois House, then the Illinois Senate. Then she was the Illinois State Treasurer. She ran for governor. She lost that race, unfortunately. She would have been the better governor. And then she came back as state comptroller. So Judy was able to treat every issue as it should have been looked at, rather than from the political right or the political left.
She was the only woman in the state of Illinois, even to this day, who has held 2 statewide elected offices.
When Judy was out on the campaign trail, she was a tireless campaigner. I mean, no one could out-campaign Judy.
And no one's really ever wanted me, for gosh sakes. I'm just a little too independent, do things my own way, and just want to get the job done. And sometimes, you know, you step on eggshells, and that's an ouch. It's not your traditional way of necessarily going along to get along.
She wanted to run for governor because she believed that she could do some great things for the state. She didn't win. To this day, I'm still kind of resentful over the fact she didn't win because I thought she was the best candidate. And I think that belief has been proven true with the fact that that individual that beat her ultimately wound up going to jail.
She loved politics to the effect that it affected her life in many other ways because she devoted her life to politics.
She was one of the greatest politicians Illinois produced during the 20th century. She was able to bridge the gap between Republicans and Democrats. She had comprehensive knowledge of state government and local government. She was one of the few people in the state of Illinois who understood how the state was being financed. She understood the blunders that were being made in Springfield. She tried mightily to warn people that the state was approaching bankruptcy and insolvency. If we in Illinois had listened to her more carefully, we would not be in the trouble we are in today.
She always dealt with the facts, didn't spend a lot of time with a lot of flair and saying things that people wanted to hear. She said the things that were in her heart. She said the things that would move the people to the point where they would support her and believe in her, because I cannot ever remember Judy saying something that was self-serving, but was always concerned about what was in the best interest of the people.
Politics became her main purpose of life, I believe. She was really in love with it, and she did a tremendous job.
She was good at what she did, and she happened to be a woman. It wasn't like, I'm running for office and elect me because I'm a woman. That was not Judy's approach. She earned it, and she did it at a time when there were no women politicians, public servants, leaders. I mean, really, she was groundbreaking in so many different ways.
And she went into politics for the right reason, not the wrong reason. She didn't relish the power. She didn't want to gain advantage. She wanted to do good for people. She really did.
That's been the agenda. I just want to help people.
I'm going to draw the purse strings really tight. There's not going to be any escape of money that should not be out there. I'm going to shine a light on fraud and abuse that literally cost this state millions of dollars every year. Yeah, we do have fraud and mismanagement out there.
I think there's nobody like her. I think it's going to be a long time before we have another Judy Baar Topinka. She's really not replaceable.
She leaves a great legacy. She leaves a legacy of somebody that wasn't afraid to take on an unpopular issue. She leaves a legacy of working for folks that are, on the margins of society. She leaves a legacy of hard work and serving the public back home, folks that, that elected her. And she leaves a legacy of energy, and she was always so much fun. She always had a way about her that was very disarming and ultimately very effective for her to get the job done.
She was not self-serving, she was public serving. And there's very few people that you find like that. She should serve as an example for all the new generations of political leaders that are to come. She's one of the best, if not the best.
To be the honest, professional politician that truthfully represents the people, there's your legacy. There is your instruction manual on how to do it. That's how you do it, the way she did it, because she gave up a lot for it, including her health.
I think Judy taught all of us to be proud of our heritage, to exploit and to thrive on our heritage, not to hide backgrounds, not to try to assimilate into American culture. She was both an American and a Bohemian and a Czech. She somehow put them all together, and I think she was a shining example of the way a person here in the United States can use their heritage to their advantage and to help others.
Every moment you spent with Judy, she was bubbling, enthusiastic, and interested in you. And that made you feel good. You wanted to be with her, you wanted to support her, you wanted to be with her more. And unfortunately, she was so busy, she was off running around all the time. She had so many activities that she was involved in, and she succeeded.
Her legacy for others is a role model to follow in terms of good government, ethics, and civility.
And if we could take Judy Baar Topinka and run off 10,000 copies of her, this world would be a better place for us to live.